What's up, guys? It's Doc and Skyhawker. We're gonna be just gonna go in a little more depth with the two of the main factions, the coalition of governments and the rebel forces, or the Forgotten. Tell me about the coalition.
All right. Well, the coalition is, like I mentioned before in our previous video, it's basically the idea of NATO, but a whole lot more in depth. Instead of just a few countries or in Europe or whatnot, this is just about every free country in the entire world right now that has come together for one central form of government. So instead of having presidents, you have more or less governors, just governed by one body. It's basically going to have a giant congress of nations in a sense, which is kind of similar to what NATO's been trying to do. The whole idea behind everything is, like I said, there's going to be no more war, there's going to be tons of peace, and all that kind of fun stuff, really. Now, the cities and everything basically don't have any issue. There's no crime, there's a very small police force because of this. Everyone's been living in peace the past 35, 40 some odd years. So with everything that's about to happen, they're basically going to be completely caught off guard. Like I mentioned before, it's just nothing but peace. No one has any issues. There's been no violence, no really riots. Basically, it's the so-called paradise. Think of, just basically anywhere that doesn't have all the violence. It's going to be an urban area. Everyone's going to get along. You're going to have the usual merchants dealing all happy and smiles and stuff like that. There's no other really big issues in the city, basically, other than, hey, who's got, the wine for the night or something like that. It's just all one big happy family in a sense, and they haven't been having issues up to this point in time. Obviously, with none of that, no one's going to be prepared, so everyone is going to have a huge culture shock with what's about to happen. The city is really not prepared for this op or anything like that, or anything of this kind of magnitude that's going to happen. Everyone's going to be caught completely by surprise, which is a pretty big key factor in this, which means even the police forces aren't really going to know what to do at first. Like I said, they haven't had to deal with it for the past 30 years, so there's going to be no really big issues with any of that, so they're not going to know how to react at first. Everything's going to be, like I mentioned before, once again, it's going to be a big surprise to everyone, which includes the two warring factions. The guys with the guns actually aren't really going to know what to do at first. They haven't been having to deal with it for the past 35 years. They haven't had to have any true military training, actually going and clearing houses and all that kind of fun stuff. So it's going to be a pretty interesting time.
Mm-hmm. You said city. Is it taking place where it's just one specific city the rebels are attacking, or is it as a whole?
Basically, right now, this is their first push. So right now, it's going to be just one city that's going to be attacked. And
okay.
They all kind of realize it, because this is the city that, yes, is kind of farther out than all the others that are connected together through this, awesome form of government. So you do have kind of the fringe cities, in a sense.
So it's kind of like almost like an outpost.
Exactly. It's
okay.
Basically just a large outpost, which is now, haven't had to deal with anything else, so they're not really worried, not really keeping an eye out, and there's no guards posted and all that kind of fun stuff.
Okay. And then, I guess I'll go into the rebels now.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Forgotten, I guess they're called. Because, even that name to begin with, the Forgotten, implies that the other countries in the coalition don't really care about, they don't really even, I guess, know about that these people have been, gathering arms, training their people, and getting ready to mount this full-scale, or rather, to be full-scale invasion, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, exactly.
As for the rebels themselves, like we said in a previous video, they're people that didn't join this huge coalition either through political reasons, economic reasons, even possibly monetary reasons, and that they've all gotten together to pool their resources so they can go get the coalition of government's resources. So food, medicine, clean water, technology, stuff like that. So as opposed to the coalition, they've actually been training for this kind of thing. So they have, may not be. I don't want to say real life combat experience. They've done their training, but there haven't been any incursions with an actual opposing force. They've all just done training, so it's good in theory. They haven't been able to test it yet, which I guess they're going to come March. The way the rebels are set up, it's kind of the same basic command structure as the coalition is. It's not just one guy leading them all. It's a group of people all collaborating to see the best idea, and then they put that idea up to a unified leader that they've selected, either through experience or whatever, monetary, combat experience, influence, or even just a figurehead, to see if they like the idea, and then they go through with it. Of course, while that system isn't ideal, it seemed to have worked for them so far, because they've managed to last for 35 years and are now mounting a major offensive. Like I said, they don't have the technology and resources that the coalition does, so they're not as well dressed, not as well fed, a little, like I said, underfed.
So they literally are fighting for their survival at this point. This is their last chance.
Essentially, yes. They are fighting to survive. Though there have been peace talks, or rather attempted peace talks, between this group that was not included in this coalition. But those kind of petered off about 20 years before this. So they've kind of like, okay, you don't want anything to do with us, have fun over in that corner of the world kind of thing. Excuse me. And because the rebels are not going to have any set uniform or any set weapons that they're going to be issued or anything like that, it's essentially you bring what you have and then you fight with that kind of thing. I'm guessing the coalition would be the same thing.
Yeah, it actually is. The coalition, as I mentioned before, really has a very small police force, but even that small police force isn't really set up for anything, so it's just basically a bunch of guys with the gear that they have. So everyone isn't ready for this with full gear and things like that. So both sides are going to see, those kind of guys that just brings a gun and not much else, and you're going to have occasionally those guys that are fully set up on both sides, because like I said, it's been kind of a give and take in a sense. No side's really set up for this entirely, so it just
whatever you have.
Exactly, it's whatever you have.
Which, getting away from the backstory and the role playing of the op, and actually to the mechanics of the op, that's really nice for us as not only players. It's nice for the players in that you guys don't have to worry about having to have a specific uniform or a specific color set. You just wear what you have, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter what side you're on. You're not going to be, you can't be on the rebel side because you don't have an AK or,
or because you're wearing tan-based camo instead of green-based camo. It's not going to be any of those kind of deals.
Getting into how we're going to mark the teams differently. You're going to have an armband that's going to be different colors. I want to say it's going to be red for the rebels and green for the coalition, but don't quote me on that. We're still working through that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the merchants are going to have a third color that'll only be issued, obviously, to the merchants. I think we are planning on going into the night around, I think we said 9 o'clock or so.
9
o'clock will be the ceasefire about.
Possibly even later. We're still working out some
earlier
of those
or later.
details.
We're around 9, so be prepared to fight at night, guys.
So lighting systems, just keep it in mind.
Keep lights in mind. Keep your eye protection in mind, because you may not think about that. Smoky goggles, guys, are not fun to play with at night.
No.
Makes it like that much harder to see. But we'll get into the night. We'll get into the night section of the game. Gameplay when we got more information for y'all. That'll be in the next in another video. May not be the next one, but it will be in another video.
Yes.
For the op. You think of anything else for now?
No, I think we've covered most of the basic stuff. Like I said, we have the coalition, we have the Forgotten or the Rebels right now, and like he mentioned before, the coalition, or the rebels, I guess should say, are just kind of that whole people that the rest of society didn't really care about, and the coalition is just in this kind of happy fairy tale land.
Oh, before we end this video up, getting a bit lengthy here. With the teams, you will not be able to switch teams, during gameplay or on the second day. Whatever team you're assigned to, that's the team you're assigned to. You
Yes.
can't, rip your armband off and say, hey, no, I was on this team. Stay with the team you guys are issued, all right? We'll see you next video.
Yep.